guys, it's Kara. I wanted to do another quick fountain pen video with you guys. A few videos back, I showed you guys how I put ink in some of my fountain pens and how I cleaned some of my fountain pens. And I had a couple people who asked me some questions about this little fountain pen. This is the TWSBI Mini. It's the classic. It's the one that I most recently purchased, and I love it. I will do a full review video on it in a little while, but in the previous videos I showed how I filled this one with the Stormy Gray ink, and I did it straight from the bottle. This is a piston-filled pen, so inside there is the filling mechanism. It's all kind of built in, and when I did it, like I said, I filled it from a pretty full bottle of ink. Now there's a lot of people out there who have fountain pens and who get these little ink samples. These happen to be from the Goulet Pen Company, which is a company I highly recommend. I get almost all of my pens from them. Mainly the only time I don't buy from them is if I have a particular pen I want and they don't have it. So that being said, I get all of my ink samples from them. This is one of them. They come in these little vials. They're labeled. This happens to be Noodler's Bay State Cranberry, and you can see it's going to be probably a nice pink color. And actually a couple someone's asked how I would fill this kind of pen using this little bit of an ink sample. So I'm going to address that a little bit, but I also wanted to tell you guys that I liked this pen so much that I actually found the white rose gold one. It's absolutely gorgeous, and you can see it's empty. So I'm going to use this one in showing you guys how to fill from these little vials if you have a piston-filled pen. Now keep in mind, I showed you guys on that last video the little converters that some of the pens come with. If you have a converter, you can just basically, the converter works in a similar fashion to the piston, where if you watch the inside, hang on, I have too many things in my hand. If you watch, it just goes down like that. You bring it all the way down to the bottom. You put it in your ink source, either the sample or the bottle, and you just start pulling it up, etc. Okay, that's kind of how the little converter works. So if you have a converter, you can simply take it out of your pen, bring this end here all the way back, suck the ink up out of this vial using the syringe, and then put it in the converter, and then load the converter carefully into the rest of the pen body. So that's always an option. You don't actually have to put your pen in this if you have that kind of a situation. If, however, you have one of these pens that has the piston filled, right, you can't really take that out. There's a few things you can try. First of all, if you have a pen where you can take off the nib and basically get into this kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, the pen body where the ink's going to go, then you can do that, and you can basically do the same thing. You can suck up the ink with this little syringe and then just carefully put it in there. If you don't have that option, or you're not comfortable taking your pen apart, then basically what you're going to have to do, and I'm not going to completely show it to you, but you're basically going to have to tilt your ink sample a little bit and put your nib down in it well enough to get wherever the little part that's going to get in the ink is, and you're going to have to kind of hold it at an angle, and you're going to have to bring this down ahead of time, put your ink in here, and then slowly suck it up from this little ink sample. And Brian Goulet of the Goulet Pen Company actually has a really good video where he shows you how to do that. Hopefully you have a pen where you can actually take it apart and you don't have to do that, because it's not the easiest thing to hold this thing at a kind of diagonal, and then you may have to hold your nib upside down or sideways or this way to kind of get it to fill up. Okay? That being said, if you have this pen, a TWSBI pen or a similar one, the great thing about that is that I can unscrew this nib portion, and then if you look, which I'm not sure you'll be able to see, but hopefully you can see there's a little hole down in there where I'm going to just be able to use that syringe to fill it up. And that's what I'm actually going to do with this one. So I'm going to take this all the way down to the bottom like that, because I want to fill it all the way up, and then I'm going to get out this handy dandy little syringe that I picked up from the Goulet Pen Company. I have a little rag here because I seem to always make some kind of a mess. I'm going to uncap, hopefully uncap my ink sample. There we go. Oh, and it's a gorgeous pink color. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully it looks as nice when I write with it. And I'm basically going to just suck up a ton of ink, pretty much all of it, into the syringe. Okay, so I basically emptied that. Then I'm going to put the syringe in the little hole that's in there. See the syringe in there a little bit, maybe? And I'm going to slowly put the ink in there. And I don't know that you're going to be able to see this super well because I can only do it at a diagonal for so long. You can see it filling up. And I'm going to make sure that I get a nice full fill. And I actually have a little bit left, so I'm going to put that back into the little sample container. Very carefully put the lid on that before I do anything else. Remembering that there's a hole up here, so I can't turn that thing over yet. And then I'm going to screw this back into place. Make sure it's on well, but not so tight that I crack anything. And I have a nice full fill of ink. The thing to keep in mind when you fill this way from a sample is that you haven't brought it up through the feed right here in this portion. So that means you're going to have to kind of give it a little bit of time for the ink to come down and basically fill up the feed so that you can write with the nib. The difference being, if I had dipped the pen into something like the ink, the bottle full of ink, it would have actually come up through the nib and the feed, and that would already be all wet with the ink and pretty much ready to go. Hopefully that makes sense. So there is my nice little full ink sample, or fully inked up pen. Let me grab my little pad of paper and we can see what this one looks like, assuming I can quickly get it to write for you guys. This is just a little pad of Rhodia paper that I keep nearby. When I get new pens, I kind of use this to get the color flowing, test out the ink the first time before I actually use it, you know, in a journal or wherever. So let me see if this is... It's not quite ready. Basically the feed is not what I call kind of primed with the ink because I didn't bring up the ink that way. There we go. And this is a beautiful ink. It is Noodler's Bay State Cranberry. It's gorgeous. I love this color. And this is the first pen that I bought that had a broad nib on it. There you can see the color. And I think I actually really like this broad nib. This is so far very smooth. There's no skipping. It's really nice. I tend to favor italic nibs when I buy fountain pens. That's what this one has, is an italic. But this rose gold doesn't come in an italic. And I had a heck of a time trying to find one because I don't think they're currently being made. I think they're discontinued. And I found it in the gold. So, I'm sorry, in the broad. And I definitely wanted to give it a try. It's just a gorgeous pen, and I'm really happy I did now. I'm liking this broad nib a lot. So if you guys haven't tried that, you might want to, because it actually is making my handwriting look even better than normal, which is the reason that I really like the italic, is because the italic typically, just as a comparison, makes your handwriting, if you're worried about your handwriting being a little sloppy or, you know, not quite so pretty, just to compare the same words, the italic usually gives a nicer look to someone's handwriting. And in this particular pen, for those of you who don't remember, I'm using Stormy Gray by J. Herbin, whatever. So there you can kind of see, there's the italic nib, and there's the broad. So I'm thinking that these are probably going to be a couple of my favorite, if not my all-time favorite pens so far. So hopefully you guys could see what I was doing and understand kind of my directions on all of these, what I did. This was a kind of an impromptu video because I'd had a few questions about it. I know a lot of people really like to get these samples. These samples are a really great way to go if you want to try out ink without getting a whole bottle, because as you guys probably know if you're into fountain pens, you know, a bottle of fountain pen ink can be anywhere from $9 or $10 on up, and if you get it and then find you don't like it, you have a lot of ink to go through or you've wasted a lot of money. These samples over at the Goulet Pen Company are right around $1.25, $1.50, and you get, you know, quite a bit of ink. I have one full, pretty much a full amount of ink in this pen and a little bit extra. So it gives you a really good sample to see if you really like the ink. And of course, if you don't, it's not a huge waste of money. So I think I answered quite the questions that a couple of you had about how to fill these up. If you guys still have more questions, let me know. Please remember, I'm a total amateur at fountain pens. I'm just kind of figuring things out as I go. And again, Brian Goulet of the Goulet Pen Company has some excellent videos on how to fill fountain pens and all that good stuff. He's got a lot of really good advice. I will put a link to his channel so you can go check him out if you haven't, and you can then, you know, do a search on his channel for different things you want to look at and get some good information from him. And I will put a link down below for the Goulet Pen Company as well, because that's where I got my syringe, and that's where I get my ink samples, in case any of you guys are interested in doing that. So if you have any questions again for me, leave them down below. Any comments, I love to hear feedback from you guys. And as always, I hope you are all having a great day wherever you're at. And thanks so much for watching. Bye, everybody.